Next, Dr. Lutzer tells us a touching story that illustrates that death is real, but heaven is also very real.
You know, John, there's a story that I came across that I love to tell because it talks to us about how real death is and how real heaven is. In Iowa, there was a little girl who was dying, and the pastor came to visit her one Saturday morning, and she looked up and she said, I want to go to heaven, but they're letting Mamie in ahead of me. And then a little while later she said, and now they're letting Gramps go in ahead of me. And as the time continued, the pastor had to leave, and he discovered a few hours later that the little girl died. So the pastor, Pastor Sanborn, decided that he would check on who these people were. Who was Mamie? Who was Gramps? He discovered that Mamie was a little girl who used to live in the neighborhood but had moved to New York State, and Gramps was someone who was a friend of the family who had moved to the Southwest. He tracked them down, and would you believe that both of them died that Saturday morning? I want you to know today that death is real, but heaven is very real. And that little girl, bless her, actually saw the entrance to heaven and saw those people go in. Now, of course, we don't build our theology on this. We build it upon the Scriptures, but an experience like that is consistent with what the Bible teaches. It makes sense that there are those who die who during that period of transition, especially in the days before tranquilizers were given to people and sedatives, they died with their faculties intact, and they could already see the spirit world. Jesus died that way, in fact. He refused what was given to him. That does not mean that we should not use painkillers and things like that. I'm just simply saying that the experience on seeing the other side, the experience of seeing the other side is a very, very real one.
Now, maybe you've lost a wonderful husband or a loving wife, a son or a daughter, and today you're grieving. What words would God have you hear to comfort and encourage you now? Listen.
You say, well, Pastor Lutzer, how then do I integrate all this with my own grief? Because I speak today to those who grieve. I remember when Peter Marshall died, I remember the story, I should say, of how his wife Catherine said that as he was being taken to the hospital, she realized something, that the value of a life is not dependent upon duration. It's not how long it is. It's dependent upon donation. It's what you give. And those little ones who have died, they have given a lot to us. They've reminded us of heaven. They've reminded us of love. They've made us anticipate the life to come. They've made a reunion in heaven something that we look forward to. Accept your grief, weep, be comforted in your weeping, and know that someday all is going to be different. You will be reunited if you're a believer in Jesus.